VGJ.Thunder in a best-of-3 showdown, as both of these teams, they 2-0'd their opponents yesterday. We had Spirit 2-0 TNC and VGJ.Thunder offstage. They did 2-0 Infamous, so well-deserved to make it through to the upper bracket.
Yeah, they're both looking quite strong. Both of the series yesterday were relatively close. I would say that maybe the first game, VGJ.Thunder versus Infamous, was maybe the closest out of the 4 that were played between these teams and their opponents. But then TNC beat Infamous in the lower bracket, so this should be a close one for sure.
Yeah, Team Spirit against TNC looked pretty even to me, especially since TNC won early stages in both games. So Team Spirit, kind of a comeback team. If they get a grip on good heroes this game, I think they might cause one more upset.
I think if there's anything that we noticed with Spirit yesterday on the main stage was that DK Phobos was left uncontested in both of their matches versus TNC, and he performed. He performed on the Brewmaster, his Venomancer was left untouched, 23-minute Aghanim Scepter, he destroyed TNC. Is this something you need to look at if you're VGJ.Thunder?
Yeah, we talked yesterday a little bit about DK Phobos. I already mentioned that he is their strongest player, one of the most experienced ones since Dota 1 days as well.
DTS?
DTS, DK Phobos, played with legendary Russian caster Velat as well. That was so long ago. Played with Dandy as well. I think they're really good real-life friends as well. They should put a lot of focus on DK Phobos, try to shut him down on an offlane.
Yeah. Is that bans, do you think, or do they focus a little bit more in terms of just getting the right heroes against his offlane, zone him out? What do you think the approach is?
Well, the problem about the offlane right now is that you can always pool.
Yeah, you can always just go and steal the wave.
Yeah, you can always do a 2-man pool even. One just...
Yeah, I've seen that. Like, Fnatic like it a lot. They'll have one person distract, so they'll have the actual offlaner showing, and so the carry's like, aha, I see him, he can't steal the wave.
Exactly.
And then the position 4 hero is running around behind, and he's actually the one who steals it. So it's really tough to deal with.
And the mid matchup is mostly starts 2 versus 2 because mid laner gets the rune, so position 5 hero is blocking the wave for him, or position 4, so it's going to be 2 versus 2, 2 versus 1 on an offlane. Pretty much right now, offlanes, if you have a strong offlaner, you put one more hero in position 4 and just contest the enemy safe lane.
Yeah. So do you think originally to Danny's question, do you think they banned the Brewmaster? Do you think it's worth just getting rid of? Or do you think you can play against it?
He's really versatile as a player, so you can't really ban him out. That's the problem. So they should just focus on shutting him down in a lane.
So let's shift the discussion to VGJ.Thunder here. So we already spoke a little bit about Spirit. What do you need to look at if you're Spirit going up against VGJ.Thunder? What are their strong points so far?
I think their position 4 play has been quite good. They're actually, I think one of the things that I was looking at yesterday in preparing for being on the panel this series, that VGJ.Thunder have actually played way more games on this patch than Team Spirit have. They've played like 64 games or something. Meanwhile, Team Spirit have only played 20. That's partially to do with the time of year that it is. A lot of the Western teams around Christmas and New Year will take a little bit of time off. There's less tournaments going on.
Yeah,
meanwhile, in China,
it's all official games. You don't know how many scrims Team Spirit played.
Yeah, that's true. The Team Spirit could have been scrimming this entire time as well, getting a good handle on the patch. But I do want to see Team Spirit probably banning out the VGJ Tusk. They've played 16 games of it this patch, and they have a 75% win rate. But it is something that Team Spirit ban a lot anyway, so they may have just been banning it by default, even without looking at VGJ.Thunder.
They play Tusk as well. They also had in the intro video
they
Tusk. So
that's true.
So when it comes to picks and bans, are there any heroes that both of these teams are looking to grab as well as ban?
Tusk.
Tusk.
Yeah, Tusk is going to be the most contested. I think it's going to who's going to get the first pick is going to determine a lot, because Team Spirit, I didn't see them play Elder Titan, and they have, I mean, Team VGJ has around 90% win ratio with them. Yeah.
Is there a reason why we haven't seen Elder Titan at the Galaxy Battles?
So, some regions love to first pick it. Some regions just ignore him. Yeah. I casted some Chinese qualifiers. It's most contested hero. It's always first picked or banned.
So if we do see it today, under what circumstances do you want to be running the Elder Titan?
I think he's really good in the situations where you pick a greedier position 5. Like if you pick Shadow Shaman, I think Elder Titan works out really nicely because he can actually be the position 5 in terms of buying all the wards, but then when it actually comes to your your farm and your overall impact in the game, and moving around in the early game, the Elder Titan can do a lot with very few items. So you kind of swap around the normal paradigm, which is the position 4 is the melee hero, and they're the one who's getting quite a bit of farm because they need a blink or something like that. And instead, you can funnel all of that to your 5, who can be a greedier hero like a Phoenix or even a Warlock sometimes. We've been seeing a little bit recently. So I think that's the kind of situation we might see ET get picked.
Lacoste, have you been looking at the games? Have you seen a meta develop for Galaxy Battles, or has it just been standard Dota across the board so far?
It's pretty much the standard. It's just clashes of different regions. Every region has a different playstyle. I mean, in let's say China, DP is one of the most contested heroes. In other regions, you can't really see the hero. It's really highly valued.
And this patch as well, right? Every team has their own priorities. Some teams are picking Omni Knight really heavily. Some teams completely ignore it. Lots of teams are trending on the Lycan pick right now, but that's not necessarily everybody.
Yep.
And that's just one of the cool things about the place that we're at in terms of Dota right now. Anything kind of can work so long as you know what your idea is. You have a strong idea about the meta, and all different things can happen.
The thing about this patch is that it feels so balanced. I don't remember having this balanced patch for quite some time.
Maybe ever.
Yeah, unless you're Alchemist, in which case you're real sad.
648B was a balanced patch.
Yeah. 48B, the like longest stable version.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a patch. Yeah.
I remember.
You always remember, right? So what have you noticed in terms of playstyle? What has been the most successful playstyle at Galaxy Battles? Has it been early game push, Lycan strats, early PLs? What has been the strat that's been working for everyone?
I feel like a lot of the wins that we saw on the main stage yesterday were actually teams kind of going for the sort of having the inevitability for mid to late game. We saw like PLs with Battle Furies, we saw EG pick a Medusa. I think part of that was to do with the matchups, that in some of those games they just felt like they were the better team and then they could just win in the later stages. But that is something that's kind of working this patch, is just making sure like, oh, we're going to we're going to worry about the lanes a little bit. We'll worry about that in terms of our supports, making sure that we don't lose the lanes outright. But then a lot of it does seem to still come down to those matchups at the like 30, 40 minute mark.
It feels like the early kills don't matter at the time, but if you lose 3 lanes, by losing 3 lanes, I mean, if your offlaner gets a decent amount of farm, it's considered as losing a lane. For a safe lane, you pretty much always lose the game.
So if you were to make your prediction right now on who's going to make it through the upper bracket, who would you put your money on?
I would put my money on VGJ.Thunder.
VGJ.Thunder 2-0 or 2-1?
The Team Spirit was looking good yesterday. I don't think VGJ.Thunder has a lot of information on them because, as you mentioned, they didn't play too much official games, and I don't think they ever met before, so they have a surprise factor.
Skip?
Yeah, I'm going the same as Lacoste. I think kind of 2-1 VGJ.Thunder. I think maybe the slightly stronger team overall. It's interesting because they're both somewhat similar in terms of like their overall position in their respective region. They're sort of up-and-coming players. A couple of them have a few accolades here and there. You look at somebody like Silo or maybe FNG. They've had a decent placement, maybe a TI, but then the rest of the players on the roster are all relative unknowns.
Well, when you mentioned FNG and Sylar, for those who don't know, maybe didn't see Sylar, he always plays with a napkin on his mouse. Did you notice it?
On his where?
On his mouse.
On his mouse. He always has a tissue on his mouse. I think he gets sweaty hands.
Oh,
so
okay, fair enough.
At the booth cam, I think it was TI3 or something, people were like, why does he have this huge stack of tissues next to him? So I don't know if we'll get the booth cam here, but maybe
well, when you have a stack of tissues or toilet paper near your desk, what does it mean?
Unless you can be sponsored by ShamWow.
Yeah, if you've got really sweaty hands.
Basically, if you remember ShamWow, I think that might be the #1 sponsor that FNG might want to look for. Just have a ShamWow on his mouse.
Yeah, needs the ShamWow sponsorship for sure.
All right.
Do you know the story of a Samson from a Bible?
No.
No? Well, there was a guy.
Tell us the cost.
There was a guy who's super strong because his hair is long. So finally, FNG got his hair at the right length. So this might be it.
It might be it.
They won yesterday.
Very, very true. We're actually into the draft right now, and VGJ.Thunder, they insta-give their Earth Spirit and the Omni Knight right off the bat.
Okay. So the Tusk was banned. The Bane was also banned. CK ban is really interesting from VGJ.Thunder. What do you make of that?
I think they have a really high win percentage with CK. I wanted to point out that Omni Knight will be contested, because VGJ.Thunder seems like they don't know how to play against the hero. They have really low win rate against him, and in both games yesterday they prioritized the Earth Spirit. There we have a Razor, who is a natural counter to an Omni. In terms of purging, the Guardian Angel also works well with Static Link. It's mostly Razor against Omni, safe lane against the offlaner.
Yeah, so they have already picked 2 cores on the side of Team Spirit, which is, I mean, not completely unusual. There are some teams that do it, though it seems like in, I would say, SEA and China, the priority does tend to be a little bit more on the supports. Do you like this opening from Team Spirit? I'm a little bit concerned because now VGJ.Thunder still have a lot of wiggle room in their lineup to kind of deal with the Tiny and the Razor potentially.
It feels like different regions pick differently. Europe mostly picks 5 and 4 in the first stage, but if you have someone else picking differently, then you need to adapt. So usually you wouldn't see a Razor pick, but Omni Knight was picked. Omni is usually banned, so you need to adapt. What else is there?
Speaking of Elder Titan, it is unfortunately banned out by VGJ.Thunder, so very worried about the Elder Titan aura. Not just the aura, but Elder Titan in general.
Yeah, I mean, you can still put Tiny on an off lane. It's a really versatile hero. Mid, safe lane, off lane.
The one other thing about VGJ.Thunder is that they play relatively 5-man oriented, right? They like to pick their DK, they like to pick Death Prophet, they do like to pick these early pushing heroes that can secure them some buildings early on, and that's where ET is insanely annoying.
This is a DP pick right here. They'll have to have these 5 versus 5 matchups.
Yeah, and they definitely want something that the Omni Knight can enable, right? You want somebody who's going to be able to take a repel and then get a lot of value out of it. And I guess we're kind of looking for that core. The Terrorblade, I think, is an example of that, right? That's part of the reason why Team Spirit banned it out, because it's just so annoying to deal with Terrorblade. If he's got a repel on him, you can't really burst him down with the Tiny. Razor can't really go toe-to-toe against TB. He's just going to do way more damage than you. You don't have really time for the Link to start kicking in.
If you're Team Spirit, do you maybe consider a Shadow Demon to purge off the Guardian Angel?
Well, he's kind of a counter. We saw them yesterday playing against the same matchup. It worked really well, especially if you disrupt Omni Knight after you get the aura from Illusion as well. Maybe they want to have a different approach. Maybe it's time for Biber Chen.
I'd be down for some Chen.
We saw a lot of jungler bans yesterday. We saw Chen and Enchantress bans.
Yeah, it's interesting. I haven't seen Chen just yet, and coming into this patch, I was not that convinced about his place in the meta, but I mean, Optic have been playing it. There's a couple of teams that have been playing it off lane as well, so could definitely be something that they look at here.
All right, Witch Doctor going to be paired up with the Earth Spirit for VGJ.Thunder. Very aggressive support if he goes for the early Maledict.
Yeah, Witch Doctor is a kind of natural counter to Tiny because of status resistance on Tiny. He can't get rid of it. He still has the magic talent, minus 20%. But still, Maledict works miracle against Tiny.
Yeah. Also a little bit of a deny pick. I know that Team Spirit, their 2 most common supports are Witch Doctor, Sand King. So taking the Witch Doctor away from them puts a little bit of pressure. We'll have to see how Team Spirit adapt in terms of their position 5. Does anything immediately come to mind? They're probably going to pick the 5 here, right? They don't want to give away too much more information.
They could go with a Sand King. It's the hero that they're comfortable with. They
played a Sand King Shadow Shaman yesterday, correct? Team Spirit?
I believe so.
I think they opened with the support duo versus TNC yesterday.
No, so they had the Witch Doctor Sand King yesterday, and then the second game was Shadow Demon Sand King.
Okay.
But is this a particularly good Sand King game? Do you think, Lacoste, or is it just a comfort thing? You know, doesn't even matter if it's that amazing of a game. It's a fairly good hero, and if that's just the way that your team likes to play, then
if they feel comfortable with a hero, you should always play it.
Yeah.
Here we go. They're going to be picking up the Shadow Shaman. So Team Spirit, decent lockdown. They've got some added push potential with the Serpent Wards now.
Yeah, their pushing was a little bit bad before this pick, so I like it quite a bit. Tiny doesn't really push as hard as he once did. And VGJ.Thunder, that's going to be the repel hero as they pick up the Luna here. So.
And you could even say their push hero as well. Yeah. Very good at tower sieging.
Yeah, their tri-lane is looking really scary at the moment. I don't think they'll consider going aggro because they want the Earth Spirit to be moving around, but it's going to be very, very difficult. And that's what you were talking about with trying to shut down DK Phobos, right? You've got Witch Doctor, very, very strong laning support. You've got kill potential from the roaming Earth Spirit, and then you've got tons of damage coming in from the Luna.
Well, Clockwork is still in the pool. That surprises me, that he survived the second banning stage.
Did Team Spirit play it that much? I know that VGJ.Thunder, they ban it much.
Yeah, because they lose a lot of games against them.
Yeah, yeah. They've banned it. In the last 64 games, they've banned it 47 times. So it is actually their most banned hero of the patch. But I guess maybe they're not afraid of the Team Spirit Clockwork.
They might not be afraid of a Clockwork in general. Earth Spirit can roll out.
47 bans is, that's some respect. But could be who they're playing against, right? That's the other thing.
Very true. 30 seconds left on the clock here for Team Spirit to pick up their 4th hero. So far we've got 2 cores and a support. You don't think this could be a position 4 Tiny?
I don't think so. I don't think position 4 Tiny is that great in general or necessarily that great this game. I think they want the burst damage as well from the Tiny to go after. Because the 2 supports on VGJ.Thunder are actually fairly susceptible to getting Avatos comboed. And the core is as well a little bit tankier, but still going to be quite threatening. They're going to have to make sure that they get the repel on the Luna early in the fights, otherwise she might just get bursted. Right?
First time Undying will be appearing on the main stage here for Team Spirit. Now, how does an Undying fare against VGJ.Thunder's lane? Is this going to be a dual lane off lane with the Undying +1?
They might want to go tri lane, Undying, Shadow Shaman, and Razor. That seems strong enough, but it's always hard to play against the tri-lane with a Luna because of the Lunar Blessing extra damage.
Yeah.
I mean, Earth Spirit is not particularly strong in tri-lanes. That's the thing. Yeah, you want to pressure it.
But the Witch Doctor, on the other hand, is like one of the best tri-lane versus tri-lane supports.
Yeah, especially when you get 1 level of heal.
Yeah, yeah, and the Paralyzing Cask is insanely annoying as well. So, Team Spirit, I guess it maybe comes down to what kind of 1v1 matchups they can get, right? If they feel like they can get a good 1v1 against the Omni Knight. The other option would be to put the Razor, try and get the Razor 1v1 against the Omni, and then Tiny goes mid, and they can still pick up another hero to head up the tri-lane. Do you like that at all, or? I think it seems like a decent option. I don't know what hero that would be. Nothing immediately springs to mind, but that could be an option that they go for.
Yeah, it can work.
So VG obviously looking for a mid hero here. What's available in the pool that they might be interested in?
I still think it's going to be a DP.
Yeah, I think the Death Prophet is still solid.
I don't think with these 4 heroes, no matter what Team Spirit picks, if VGJ gets DP, they won't be able to team fight them.
Question is it going to get banned? And it doesn't. Well, it's not banned yet.
Yeah, this could be an anti-DP pick, especially with the rotation from Undying or Shadow Shaman, just triple raise, easy kill. Not with the Undying setup, but with the Shadow Shaman.
Yeah. Do you think VGJ give any thought at all to picking Medusa?
Yeah, they can still go for it.
Yeah. All right, well there's the DK Phobos Brewmaster. We talked it up even before the draft started, and we are going to be seeing it here.
VGJ.Thunder also will not be getting that Death Prophet. What is an alternative to the Death Prophet here?
Medusa?
Yeah, I think that the Medusa is still okay.
Or they can go for, maybe it's kind of suicidal, but they might still go for a Storm Spirit. It's not a bad game. It's only a Shadow Shaman, but you have Omni Knight behind you. So
and you can just kill the Shadow Shaman, right? You just find him and kill him off.
All right, okay. So they are thinking about Undying and the Tombstone, I guess, and it gives them a lot of team fight potential. Jar is one of the heroes that doesn't care what stage of the game it is. He's good early, mid, and super late game against the Tombstone. Works really, really well.
He's pretty good against the Panda as well. You can kill off the splits fairly easily once you have a decent amount of damage, and the Rocket is actually really annoying for Panda to deal with. Though it doesn't look like, I think Gyrocopter is going to be mid, right, and Sylar is going to be taking the Luna to the safe lane, so it won't be Gyro against Brew necessarily, but also just good in the general game context as well.
All right, I want to hear both your predictions. Is it going to be either Team Spirit or VGJ.Thunder to take this first match?
I'm going to stick with my guns, go.
Well, we don't want to hear the predictions, so...
Yeah, I don't really care what they have to say at this point, you know? Like, they had some good points early, but then, you know what, they just want the game. First game of the day, they just want to get it going. You've got Team Spirit against VGJ.Thunder. I mean, I'm really excited for this. I cover a lot of Chinese Dota as well as CIS for Team Spirit. Feels like I'm kind of having a little bit of a love affair between these two teams because I love them so much, and I can't really choose one just yet, but how are you feeling about these two drafts so far?
Well, I was born in China, so the choice is clear. No, I actually think that Team Spirit has the better draft here because the way I'm looking at VGJ.Thunder's draft, both their cores needs a lot of farm to actually get online. And if you look at Team Spirit's hero, they got the Undying, they got the Shaman, they will be able to put a ton of pressure, not only in the lanes, but also against the Tier 1 towers. So my biggest concern for VGJ.Thunder is will they get the time to actually get their items? Expecting both these cores to go drums early, it is one of the most cost-efficient items that you can get for these heroes to maintain some resemblance of fighting, and also, you know, just to be able to defend against Team Spirit.
Team Spirit definitely play a pretty aggressive style, but so does VGJ.Thunder. But do you think with the lineup that they've got right now, can they play an aggressive style that they normally do?
The Earth Spirit is a very aggressive hero. It's just that I don't think he can make as aggressive plays as he normally wants to be, because the way I see is that Team Spirit has really good counter initiation heroes, especially with Undying picking up Soul Rip early on. You know, you could row in, maybe dive a little bit, and then the Soul Rip comes out, and you're just not getting kills. Brewmaster, Razor, all of these heroes are pretty good defensively. They will build defensive items. So to answer your question, VGJ would like to play aggressively, but I'm not sure whether they can.
So they've also got the Luna, they've got the Gyrocopter. You thinking maybe they also have the late game if this goes far, or does Team Spirit have enough to really push through?
Yeah, they definitely does have the better scaling in my opinion, but the question is whether it'll get there, right? That's kind of the big crux here. Team Spirit will just run at you, and it's up to VGJ.Thunder to defend themselves.
So it looks as though they're going to have Yang in the off lane. Sometimes you see a little bit of an off lane, safe lane switch, but how do you like these matchups for each team now that you see that the off lane is going to be that Omni Knight, and then you've got Illidan here, safe lane? Is there any advantage for either side, or are these lanes really dependent on their supports coming in?
I think for the Omni Knight, he needs a ton of help here. He does have the boots first, so he could run away from the Razor. But obviously, Shaman players really like to go into these patch of trees and come out and just get a shackle. And as a result, doesn't matter if you have boots or not, you'll just die. So I think the Earth Spirit really needs to start bottom and give him a little bit of assistance.
Yeah, so for right now, Fade over mid, just continue to block these creeps. We'll see how they're able to do over bottom for the side of Team Spirit. You've got FNG here on the Shadow Shaman. Like you said, they play an aggressive lineup. We'll see what they do. They've already got the static link on Razor, ready to go, possibly with the Shackles to follow that up. I can definitely sense a little bit of aggression coming out early for Team Spirit if the side of VGJ.Thunder is not too careful.
So one decent lane that they do have going for them, at least in the earlier levels, is the mid lane. The Gyrocopter versus Tiny matchup. Tiny with a 0 base armor. You could flat cannon and harass him pretty effectively. But Tiny, as it moves on and has more levels of toss, I think he can harass Freeze in this mid lane. He's tagged up as Kama right now, but I guess better known as Freeze.
Yeah, he's been going by Kama for quite some time, and I still call him Kama, but I always get corrected that it is, in fact, Freeze. But he's up against ILTW. Both these mids are really good, and it'll be exciting to see them come towards that mid-game, late-game, how both of them do.
Looks like Fade has ported up top after showing bottom, and looks like they're going to try to set up a kill here. It's going to be tough here against Undying. Still hasn't selected Tombstone or Soul Rip yet. I think he's going to hold the skill point. If he sees Fade rolling in, the Soul Rip is going to be quite good. In fact, he does have Soul Rip now.
So working with this Decay, just continuing to harass out the side of VGJ.Thunder, and you've got both the Undying here with DK Phobos, an offlaner that I really admire. He always makes his way into getting farm, no matter how hard his lane is. It always seems like he's second or third on the net worth, no matter his opportunity on farm.
DK Phobos is one of those players that has been in the scene for such a long time, and I feel that he's always somewhat overshadowed by his teammates, but he's definitely an extremely solid player. Like we've been seeing him perform in this event.
So for right now, neither side really being too aggressive. You got Sylar just continuing to farm over top, and it just seems as though they might be able to get first blood as Viver's trying to run away. The Rolling Boulder comes through from Fade and trying to stay alive with that Soul Rip, but the kill is there for Fade, and VGJ.Thunder will take first blood. So right away an advantage there for VGJ.Thunder. They have Fade over, and he does help get a kill early.
Yeah, very good job by the VGJ.Thunder chasing Undying to the runes. Normally, you don't make that play against most position 4 heroes. Think of like Slardar, Clockwork. They could actually defend themselves pretty well. But Undying, his defensive spell is only good when he's in the lane. Soul Rip, the more target you have around you, the bigger your heal is. So the fact that they've gone on him in the river made Soul Rip a pretty useless spell, as we saw there.
So a little bit of aggression coming out over bottom as well from Illidan, just trying to open up this lane for himself. And you see right now the top 3 in the CS chart are Razor, Tiny, then the Brewmaster. So it looks as though for the moment being, Team Spirit, they're having their lanes go pretty decently despite giving up that first blood.
And that's to be expected. I feel like Team Spirit's laning hero is just much better overall, especially with Omni Knight on the bottom side, starting with boots first. Like, he really isn't looking to CS, for example. He's just looking to survive. And you can see that Illidan's just driving him all the way back to the tier 2.
Yeah, Illidan continuing to open up this lane. He's already level 4, and I've seen games where Illidan, he gets a good start, and then he just snowballs through the opponent's side. No matter what they do, they just cannot stop Illidan, and it's almost like that might be setting up here in this first game. Right now, just Bivver over top as well, continuing to throw out those decays, continuing to harass out this Luna. But Luna doing a good job at 13-0, keeping it pretty safe. Sylar on this Luna, we'll possibly see them get aggressive again with Fade coming up top and pulling these creeps.
Mid lane, they're looking to go here on Freeze. Toss back right into the Shaman. Shaman has a shackle available, and he will shackle him up. And that should be a very easy kill. They're going to chase him down, and that is going to do it.
So nicely done by LTW. They even up the score at 1, and they take out that gyrocopter that you said might have a little bit of an advantage. For right now, it's not as I'm really not used to both these teams kind of sitting back this much. I usually just see them run into the opponent time and time again.
It's just that because both teams are so good kind of reacting and turning the fight around, that it almost feels like whoever that rolls in and jumps in first is at the disadvantage.
And so even though you've got some initiators on both sides, you don't want to be the initiator in these team fights, it seems. But they are going to go for the rolling boulder, trying to grab Bivver. They've got the Lucent Beam coming through. Ao's here as well with the Cask and the Maledict, so they're continuing to chase, and the Soul Reap keeping him alive for a moment. DK Phobos finally comes in with a Thunderclap, forcing back VGJ.Thunder. So Team Spirit doing a decent job right now, just keeping themselves alive, and that Soul Rip, only a level 1, but enough to keep Bivver safe.
Very interesting skill build coming out from Tiny. Normally, Tiny players either go just max toss or max tree grab, but the second point in Avalanche is not something you see too often, simply because the mana cost is quite high. And he actually has picked up a Soul Ring for more spamming.
You think he'll max out both his Q and W first with that kind of build?
It seems like that's exactly what he's going for, which kind of makes sense given the playstyle they want to pursue, which is aggressively run at VGJ in the mid game.
Yeah, so VGJ.Thunder, AO, as well as Fade, they're coming over towards the mid lane, but now FNG, he spots himself, and Earth Spirit continues to go on in. ILTW just not close enough and really doesn't have the mana to do anything. Not enough for Avalanche or Toss, but it does deter VGJ.Thunder from coming in over mid onto this Tiny, at least for the time being. So these lanes right now are looking good for Team Spirit in terms of farm. Is there any way that we just see really Team Spirit turned around? Is actually over mid. Kama's going to continue to go in on ILTW. They've got the Maledict coming through as well as the Rocket Barrage. They're trying to get themselves a kill with 3 heroes here, and the Maledict should take them down eventually, but Kama will end up getting that kill, and VGJ.Thunder, they were deterred for just a moment from the FNG shackles a moment ago, but they are able to come in and get the kill, cleaning up this Tiny.
Yeah. I think Team Spirit doing good in the laning stage is an understatement. They've been pretty much winning all 3 lanes before that Tiny kill. And to answer your question, what VGJ needs to do is get level 6s on either Luna or Gyrocopter and just use their big ultimate to make a smoke and take a fight. Because Call Down, Eclipse, these are some of the strongest spells that you could lay down early on as soon as they hit 6.
Yeah, I kind of compare Eclipse, and I don't know if this is a good comparison, might not be, but I compare it kind of to Midas. You want to use it early at least, whenever it's off cooldown, try to be aggressive with it when you know you can grab a kill.
Yeah.
So Sylar is coming up on that level 6. He went 3-1-1, so Lucent Beam
Illidan
is
gonna get
pretty good. Yeah, Illidan over bottom is going to be got by AO. So VGJ.Thunder, they grab another kill. They take a 3-1 advantage, and now over top again, they're going to continue to chase on Sylar. DK Phobos coming in deep under this tier 1. With Bivver nearby, they might want to dive, but Lucent Beam stopping DK Phobos and deterring the push.
Sylar is very low. He doesn't have infused range drop, so if Undying could get into a good position, he has enough mana with the Magic Stick and Mango to make a big play here.
So they're going to continue to throw that decay at Sylar and make him uncomfortable in this lane. It really hasn't deterred him from getting that much CS, but DK Phobos again, he's finding his farm.
Bottom side of the map here, Yang being chased down by Illidan. Illidan with a right click will take him down. Phase boots, static link, Eye of the Storm. Mid lane looks like we have an Avatos combination. The Shackle's going to be there as well. And all over the map, Team Spirit assassinating VGJ heroes.
So Team Spirit able to equal it up at 3. And starting to show a little bit of aggression for themselves. As we take a look over top, it looks as though Bibber and DK Phobos, they really want to just push Sylar out of this lane, open it up for DK Phobos to get that level 6, get that Bruce split. Take a look over mid for just a moment as it's about an even lane so far. And actually, Free is really not getting that much CS. He's only 18 and 8 compared to the Tiny's 40 and 23. It's been a struggling lane for Gyrocopter. Is there any way he can really start to pull it back?
I'm surprised that he has gone for the max rocket barrage build because I don't feel like he could actually go up to Tiny that easily.
Yeah, actually over top, Sylar getting chased by DK Phobos as well as Bibber. They have that level 6 onto this Brewmaster, and they are going to use the Primal Split as well as the Sun coming through. They've got FNG trying to get close enough to get the Shackles through, and they finally will lock him up. Get Sylar locked in, get the kill, and FNG puts Team Spirit ahead up 2K with that kill, and they also find themselves AO. They're going to continue to move on forward with the cast, bouncing around, stunning up these little Brewlings for the time being, and now the Thunderclap comes out on AO, just forcing him back, but they won't be able to get that kill.
And this is kind of the expectation I had coming into this game, that we know Team Spirit is going to run at VGJ very aggressively early. Luna, Gyrocopter, apart from having their ultimate, they just can't really brawl that well. And I do expect Team Spirit to essentially snowball into the mid game. So the game now turns into how well can Thunder defend. We know that they're going to be in this spot, and now it's here. So we're going to need to see some very good rotation, particularly from Gyro and Luna, because, again, they have the best spells to fight.
Yeah, but you take a look at where Gyro sits in terms of the net worth. He's really far behind. He really needs to make up some farming. Is that going to come from just rotations from VGJ.Thunder and trying to fight his 5?
His team could be stacking for him, and he could use Flat Cannon catch up, but unfortunately it's only a level 1 Flat Cannon. And look at what Tiny's constantly doing to him. He's just tossing. Right now, Gyro, without having a bottle, just has no way to reach it. And it looks like we are going to see that first rotation I've been mentioning. Sylar does have that Eclipse available, and looks like they want to actually go at Tiny. The thing is, like, this gank can be somewhat obvious, as everyone is missing from top.
Yeah, they've got Sylar, Fade, and AO coming over towards mid. They'll try and get themselves a kill on ILTW. Right behind them is FNG. You think just those 2 heroes is enough? They've got no TP here on Illidan just yet. Brewmaster's got a TP ready to go, and so does the Undying if they do have to make the rotation over.
Brewmaster has TP but has no Bruce split, so even him being in the fight is not that helpful. I think the most important thing right now is whether Team Spirit knows a gank's coming. If they do, they just back away, and that's a wasted smoke gank. So this Kala pause has actually been helping out Team Spirit quite a bit. They've a lot of time to assess whether Luna is farming in the jungle or likely running a gank at mid.
So meanwhile, we take a look top of the net worth. Illidan is really finding himself a lot of farm. His lanes open up a lot. He was able to harass Yang out quite a bit, open up the lane. Not really much aggression over bottom onto this Omni Knight. Actually, it was Illidan who was the one who died once. With the top 3 heroes on the net worth being the side of Team Spirit, VGJ.Thunder, it just seems like with how aggressive Team Spirit can be, it's going to be hard for them to bring it back.
Yeah, and Team Spirit will itemize for this mid game as well. Razor will most likely get a Drums first. In fact, Drums, I believe, is flying out in the Courier right now. And the normal follow-up for a Razor here is either going into an SMY, so makes you kind of a mobile right-clicking machine, or if you want to build a little bit defensively and you want to respect that Gyrocopter call down and clips, you could build a hood for yourself. And then obviously Tiny in the mid lane is likely going to build something like Blink and Shadow Blade. Looks like he's also going for a Drums. And of course, what Team Spirit like to do is just close out this game before we hit the 25-minute mark.
You think it's more beneficial for ILTW to get a Shadow Blade or a Blink in this position?
Hold that thought. We're going to see that gank coming in right now.
Yeah, they come over mid. They've got the Lucid Beam to start it off. The comes out with the Rolling Quarter as well as the Motor Spence. They've got the call down onto ILTW. They continue to chase with the Rocket Barrage. Kama gets the kill, and it's 4 heroes over mid for VGJ.Thunder to clean up ILTW.
Well, they even used both their big ultimates, which I feel like perhaps is an overkill, but looking at how tanky that Tiny was, maybe they did just enough.
And nobody really coming out to rotate for the side of Team Spirit either. As you said, DK Phobos, without the Bruce split, probably isn't coming over.
Yeah. I mean, even if he came over, he wouldn't have done much. So to answer your question about the Tiny's item choice, he is going for Drums. And The next item is, I think Blink or Shadow Blade would just be fine. Any item that puts up pressure against VGJ is what you want.
Meanwhile, over bottom, Illidan's doing just that, continuing to push this bottom lane, continue to push pressure on Yang. And Yang's farm is decent for what he's got. He's actually in front of his own gyrocopter. And do you think he's able to make something more of this lane, or does he have to really just sit there and take what Illidan's throwing his way?
I don't think he could easily leave the lane until Razor leave his, because if he leaves the lane, then tier 2 is going to be under a lot of pressure. And even though that Yang has more farm than Gyro, like you pointed out, it's more Gyro being under farm than Yang having a ton of farm. So I think Yang also would like to sit in the lane and finish his items. How many drums are being worked on right now / completed? I feel like we're having a bongo party soon. Illidan's got one. We know Tiny's working on one. Yang's working on one. And it's likely that Gyro or Sylar will be working on one. So
a little drum circle, you're saying?
Sure.
Towards the mid-half of this game? I'm always okay with that.
I mean, I've never been to those music festivals. Is there a lot of drums there?
It depends who you hang out with.
Okay.
You know, it's definitely a crowd favorite at some areas.
I met up with Ben Wu in Vegas once for this, I think, electronic music festival. Do they have a lot of drums there?
That's not my scene. Electronic music festival, more of like, you know, jam bands, Fish, where the drums really come out.
Okay.
As well bongos. So, you know, I'm used to the drum circles. So DK Phobos, he's going for the Blink Dagger. He's going to be their initiator. Do you think he's the only one who's going to need that Blink Dagger? I feel like him and Tiny having a Blink Dagger would be really good for Team Spirit's initiation.
I think given how poorly Thunder could fight, you could delay the Tiny Blink if you want, and that seems to be the case. Eventually, they would like to have both Blink, but it's not necessary to rush it ASAP.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
With Eclipse down, it doesn't seem like VGJ.Thunder are going to look to be too aggressive. They'll sit back in their lanes and farm. And up 3,000 net worth right now, Team Spirit, they're okay with this, especially continuing to have their top 3 cores on the top 3 in the net worth.
But look at this huge Ancient stack right now they have over at the Dire Jungle. If VGJ has enough time to take the stack, they can be right back in this game.
At what point do you think Kama is able to take that stack, or does he need help? Probably help from Sylar.
It's not going to be right now. We're going to see them smoke up. I don't believe this Observer Ward has seen that smoke. So Call Down is available. They even have Death Ward to go.
And they're looking over mid right now. Illidan's actually made the rotation over mid, so they might be able to catch out this Razor. They've got Fade setting up over towards the mid lane with the 2 heroes coming in, but not going in just yet. They seem a little hesitant on wanting to go in on both the Razor as well as the Shadow Shaman as they drop these Serpent Wards over on the mid tier 1.
Team Spirit knows. Look at the positioning they have. They drop the Serpent Ward on the left side of the tower, and then they hit up to the left side as well. They have a ward on that hill, so this is a very, very safe push. However, with the Glyph, they will take down the Mass Serpent Ward, but VGJ's smoke initiation has done pretty much nothing.
So they're able to fight around them. They've also brought DK Phobos in. It almost looks as though Team Spirit wants VGJ.Thunder to come in and try and counter that attack.
Yeah, they understand how strong they are, Team Spirit does, and of course they still have the Blink Bruce split. At this stage of the game, when Bruce splits, there's no way Thunder could fight.
So without them really being able to fight, they have to sit back. But, I mean, the game plan is still run at you for Team Spirit. Can VGJ.Thunder, do they have the ability to sit back like that? I feel like Team Spirit, they're ready to go.
I mean, Thunder has 2 options, right? If they sit back, then they just lose out on the farm game because they're not hitting creeps. And if they fight, then they lose a fight. So Thunder's best bet is to just get sneaky kills with smoke initiations. And that's easier said than done, because look at the warding that we have from Team Spirit. One up on that hill, as Mike mentioned, another one super deep in the jungle. It's hard for VGJ to find a good spot to make that smoke. That is not painfully obvious to Team Spirit.
Yeah, and they've got some decent warding of their own towards the bottom half of this map, but it just hasn't really worked out for them as they have the Shackles coming through on a Fade. Fade's going to be hit by that Thunderclap. They're going to continue to come in with the Bruce Split. Ao, he's going to be cycloned up. The Boulder Smash hits onto 3 of these heroes, so VGJ.Thunder looking decent right now as they are able to get Fade out. The Lucid Beat comes through with the Avalanche from ILTW to clean up Ao. They look for more of the Shackles again from FNG. This time it's going to be on the Omni Knight, but he's in a lot of trouble. The Magnetize hitting away at him, and it will be a 1-for-1 split between both these teams for the time being.
That's a huge trade in the favor of VGJ. Not only did they not use any of their ultimate, except for Magnetize, They got a 1-for-1 trade against Bruce Split, and they still protect that tier 1 tower. So I keep saying that VGJ.Thunder should be on the back foot, but that was just very good positioning. I was surprised that Omni Knight did not pop that Guardian Angel. I think he could have maybe saved his ally, I think so.
Top lane, they've got the Avalanche as well as the Blink Thunderclap. The Repel comes out from Yang, and not in trouble just yet, but keeping himself really close with not a lot of health.
Yep.
Right now, it does seem as though Team Spirit, they are just looking for pickoffs, looking for fights all over the map. Starting to invade the jungle. They continue to find Yang, continue to harass him out, and meanwhile they are also pushing this top lane, maybe looking for a top tier 2 once they get a couple of heroes up there to drop the Serpent Wards on it.
I'd like to see Team Spirit put a ward in this vicinity to suss out whether there is a ancient attempt. The Observer ward that was there earlier has faded out. And top lane, Mass Serpent Ward push continues.
So they throw the Serpent Wards up top. They've got ILTW hitting away at this tower. No rotations coming out from VGJ.Thunder. Is that because they know they're so far behind and they're forced to trying to trade a tower for a tower? Or, you know, could they fight if they really wanted to?
I think it's more that the Radiant team already got set up, and by the time they get to defending the tier 2, it's still likely going to be going down anyway. So they're just making the best out of a bad situation, which is, hey, we're too late to defend the tower. Let's just try to get something of our own.
So Silard is able to take that tier 1 over bottom, going for the Dragonlance now, cleaning that Mask of Madness first. Pretty standard build there for the Luna, and he's going to continue to push. I feel like he just wants Team Spirit to try and rotate, just continue to make them a little bit more uncomfortable.
Yeah. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, VGJ is trying to set up a kill here on Undying.
Yeah, they come around the back. They've got the Rolling Boulder coming through on Illidan, but it's not going to hit. Neither does that Boulder Smash. The homing missile comes through, but just don't get anything done. It seemed like they're a little bit out of sync there.
I mean, I think it's not as much as out of sync as Illidan. When he pops a phase boot, he's sitting at max movement speed or close to it. So it's just hard to land that rolling boulder. And now Illidan's stealing farm from the jungle. If he could, I mean, well, him sitting here and taking the space from Thunder is pretty much what Team Spirit wants to do. Because Team Spirit right now can't farm.
Yeah, both teams actually looking to fight over mid. There's the cast bouncing around for right now. Both teams using their drums at one point, so we do end up getting that drum circle a little bit, but nobody going in on either side just yet.
This mid tower is so important for Thunder, and they've been miraculously holding up for such a long time, but it will go down here. And that means Team Spirit could now invade a much bigger part of the map. And VGJ is just losing real estate left and right.
I'll take that.
Yeah, and it really doesn't feel like they can afford to lose that kind of real estate as they're
It's like a very bad game of Monopoly. You know, you just...
Your friends get boardwalk probably around the first time around and they're already upset.
Monopoly is a very bad board game against player.
Yeah, so Team Spirit coming in, they'll find Yang. They've also got the Hex as well as the Shackles will come through. Avalanche comes out, and it's an easy pick-off for Team Spirit, starting to invade that real estate of the side of VGJ.Thunder.
Yep.
And with that, they take the stack as well.
So I mentioned about the warding a little bit earlier, and you did say correctly that there's a lot of deep ward on the side of the Radiant jungle as well, but the difference is that VGJ is really unable to use those aggressive wards because they're behind right now, so they're mostly playing on their side of the map. So to me is that Team Spirit's warding is just more effective and more useful right now.
For VGJ.Thunder, it seems like they're constantly playing off the back foot, and they actually try to go in with the rolling boulder, but there's the Hex coming out in a fade. They've dropped the Serpent Wards coming through as well as Magnetize coming out. The Geomagnetic Rip is going to silence up DK Phobos, but they will end up getting the kill. And FNG gets credit for that one. It lets the rest of the team get out with that silence, so no Bruce Split comes through. And VGJ.Thunder, again, playing off their back foot.
Yeah. It was a good defensive play here by the Earth Spirit. He messed up the initiation, but the silence on the Brewmaster prevented the split. If the split came out, then Kama or Freeze will also just die. So again, they're just stemming the bleeding a little bit, but the problem is they're still bleeding. And I just don't see where VGJ makes their stand. They're not really finishing any big items anytime soon. I say that though, they're gonna smoke up right into the Bruce split because they know Roshan is happening. Can they make there in time?
Very good positioning right now from FNG. He's going to break that smoke. The Lucid Beam comes forward onto the Shadow Shaman as well as the homing missile. They rolling boulder in as well as the boulder smash. That's only going to hit on Roshan. Now the blink comes through with the Thunderclap as well as the Bruce Blade. They've got the Eclipse raining down, but it doesn't seem to be doing enough as is Kama going down first. Now LGW continue to move on forward, tosses him in on AO. They've got themselves a second Yang. He's going to be in a lot of trouble popping that Guardian Angel, but it's not going to be enough to save him. 3 down on the side of VGJ.Thunder as Team Spirit, they were ready for that one, and they take out 3 and lose absolutely nothing. Continue to go back into Roshan and take that Aegis.
I think you take that fight 100 times. Team Spirit wins that fight 100 times. With the positioning they had, right? FNG just stood on this side of the hill. If he dies, no big deal. And the key thing is, as we have Faye trying to make some play on the left side, also going to get picked off. Here's the problem. They just have 0 counterplay to Brewmaster. If Brewmaster pops his ultimate, the fight's over.
It just doesn't seem like, I mean, of course, on top of that, it just seems like Team Spirit, they seem to be ready with their positioning too. Yep. So they can set up the Brewmaster every single time. So now VGJ.Thunder really falling behind. They're down 7,000 net worth. It just doesn't seem like they can patch the bleeding. There's nowhere for them to really farm. The warding's really good from Team Spirit. VGJ.Thunder, I'm starting to lose where they really have a game plan to continue to try and win this game. As moving forward is going to be ILTW with his Shadow Blade, just coming in closer and closer to Kama, but the Sentry Ward is there, and they're maybe trying to bait this out, but I think he might have seen that cast attempt from him.
Tower is under attack.
Essentially, the VGJ Cords needs double BKB and a ton of right-click damage. So they're looking at 2 to 3 items before they could actually start winning fights. And now they're going to roll in and cure against Tiny.
Rolling Boulder comes out as well as the Boulder Smash. The call that comes through, but on the back lines, FNG is going to be able to get a kill onto AO. Now they've got the Cyclone coming through on a Yang, locking down that Omni Knife for the time being. The repel is down on Kama, but the damage is just too much. Bibber's going to get the kill on that one. It's 2 dead on the side of VGJ.Thunder. They look for more, and they will take out this Omni Knife, as well as Sylar. So 4 dead on the side of VGJ.Thunder, and Team Spirit just continuing to steamroll this team.
Yeah, Tier 2 is going to go down for sure. I think Tier 3 and perhaps even Rax is going to be dead, because you got to keep in mind that Luna will respawn with Eclipse, but Eclipse is not, it's going to just get countered by the fact that Team Spirit is just so tanky, and I'm not sure how much cooldown it's going to do. Tier 3 likely going to go down here. The question is, will Illidan and friends stay for the Rax? I think they can, but let's see how much they respect Thunder.
Sylar dead for another 20 seconds. They have the Aegis, so they can continue to put the pressure on.
0 respect for Thunder.
I mean, they love playing that aggressive style. And they're going to continue to move on forward, get that mid-set racked, and pull themselves a nice padding of a 14,000 net worth lead.
You know, the scariest thing for a VGJ.Thunder fan for this game is that VGJ started the drafting phase picking up essentially the same draft they always pick up. They always start with Earth Spirit, Omni Knight, and Witch Doctor when possible. Like, they are playing their comfort heroes. This is a comfort strategy. They're not getting blindsided. I personally disagree with the Luna and the Gyrocopter core. I feel like both of them just takes too long to come online, and you saw this game, right? I keep saying it over and over again, VGJ is going to get ran at, and that's exactly what happened. I think if they picked up a core that could come on a little bit faster, I think they would stand a much better chance. But perhaps they're going to be a little bit rattled, playing that comfort strategy and just getting trounced.
Illidan actually spots Sylar as well as Yang, but I don't even know if Sylar has enough to really fight Illidan. Illidan pops that BKB, continue to run at Yang, but they both are able to TP away. So that's just continual pressure from Team Spirit, and VGJ.Thunder, they're trying to salvage what they can. They're pushing a Tier 1 tower over top, but they're losing a Tier 2 tower over bottom. It just seems like the pressure has not stopped this entire game from Team Spirit.
Team Spirit is pressing where it hurts the most, and it's just running at them. Ultimate's all ready to go here for Team Spirit, apart from the Eye of Storm, but he's got Aegis, so he's going to be, Illidan's going to be in the fight long enough where Eye of Storm will be back up.
So they drop the Serpent Wards down over on this bottom Tier 3. Sylar just trying to defend, clean up those Serpent Wards as much as he can, but he's still continuing to lose that bottom Tier 3. So right now they don't have Eye of the Storm, and now they don't have Serpent Wards to push with. They're also, I think, maybe waiting on the Illidan BKB that has 20 more seconds on it.
Sure. I mean, there's absolutely no rush, right, for Team Spirit?
Yeah.
They are so far ahead that even though Thunder has better scaling heroes, Thunder will not have the time to scale.
So they try to go in. They've got the Bruce Split coming through. The Cyclone comes out on the Earth Spirit. Static Link, I think, was there for just a moment for Illidan, but it's going to be stopped. The toss comes through onto a creep, but they're continuing to push on back. VGJ.Thunder, so far, it looks like a pretty decent defense, but it's starting to fall apart for them as Cyclone up again. As Sylar getting very low. The call down comes out on a bunch of these heroes on the side of Team Spirit. Nobody did on the side, and now they continue to move on forward. The Eclipse raining damage onto the Team Spirit, but it just doesn't look to be enough. But they finally take out ILTW, and that will push back Team Spirit. They'll take out FNG, and they hold.
They do. I think this is Team Spirit kind of losing their patience a little bit. You can see that they taste a victory, and they are maybe trying to grab that cake a little bit too early. They just walked up, threw down the wards, and it looks like they're going to chase for a little bit more. The entire team is smoked up. Yang pops the drums for himself, but of course Illidan, again, once he pops a face boot, he is at max movement speed. The Aegis will trigger as well.
It looks as though VGJ.Thunder, they don't really have any plans on stopping. They do find themselves the Undying as well as Illidan, but they're just able to really walk away from the side of VGJ.Thunder.
Yeah. Thunder also, one weakness in the draft is that they just don't really have a good guarantee initiation. They're relying a lot on Fade's Earth Spirit play. And granted, he is a very excellent Earth Spirit, but sometimes you just want a little bit, something more guaranteed.
Now VGJ.Thunder feeling a little bit more comfortable to push out a little bit over towards this tier 2. They will use call down to push these creeps and throw Kama back towards the base, but what kind of items, what are we looking at where VGJ.Thunder down 12,000 net worth can maybe start to pull themselves out?
It seems like VGJ.Thunder believes they are lacking in damage, which is the case. As you see Sylar working towards a butterfly, but they need a damage item on both their cores, and they need BKB on both their cores, which is, you know, at least 8,000 gold.
So they will come in, the shackles come out on Akama, he's got the repel on him, continue to go into Illidan with the BKB, they chase over on Fate, gets in front of that rolling boulder, and there's the avalanche, and they will get the kill. They take out at least one, and now they'll go over for this shrine.
Fate does have buyback, but looks like he won't need to use it. So the last push, Team Spirit kind of, again, jumped the gun, right? They walked up the hill, put down the Serpent Ward, it got cleaned up. Brewmaster just blinked in and just used his ultimate to hit the tier 3. I think if they just play a little bit slowly, they should be okay. Looks like we have little technical issues. We are still in the game, so we can provide a little bit of play-by-play.
Audio play-by-play, that's what I do best.
This one's on you.
Okay. Well, you've got Illidan right now, and it just seems as though Team Spirit, they could possibly sit back and wait for that next Roshan if they really did want to. Although you don't want to give up that much time to farm for VGJ.Thunder. But over top, there's the avalanche as well as the toss on Akama, continuing to go on forward with the tree toss onto this gyrocopter. He's forced all the way back, and VGJ.Thunder, they're just trying to find somewhere to farm, but can't get anything, and they will lose Yang over by the shrine.
That is a 50-second death timer. And Team Spirit likely going to push in bottom now to force out that buyback.
Pushing these creeps for just a moment over mid, and they all head over towards the bottom lane, and there they go to push in these creeps. Got DK Phobos, Illidan, the whole crew here for Team Spirit, just to try and push into VGJ.Thunder, and we'll see if they're able to hold one more time. They don't have this tier 3 to work with, but they do have the set of racks. There's the blink in with the Brew Split coming out, and they go after the melee racks, and it just doesn't look as though VGJ.Thunder want to fight just yet. They might be trying to hold down on waiting for that Brew Split to be over with, but at that point, you're already just conceding your bottom set of racks.
I think it was a good decision by Thunder to not go in to take that fight. There was a 0% chance they win that fight. Without BKB on either course, they just get lifted up, and the Rax is going to die anyways.
So I've heard it a couple times. Do you believe in the theory that it's easier to defend once you have one set of racks standing?
I mean, sure, I guess.
You only have to focus on one set of buildings, can focus all your attention there. You're not getting split push too bad.
Yeah, there's a very old Chinese saying in Chinese Dota is like, you know, we lose one Rax, whatever. Lose 2 Rax, time to get a little serious, you know. So
now they're serious.
Yeah, now they're playing.
First Rax wasn't serious, second set of Rax not serious either. So Roche is going to be up in 7 seconds, and exactly what Team Spirit are going to be looking for. They've got themselves really the ability to go in there. I don't think VGJ.Thunder are going to contest unless they really want that to be a do-or-die moment for them. They maybe want to look to defend that top tier 3 as well as the set of racks. They might even just head in there and try and sneak the Roshan under the noses of Team Spirit. Looks as though they are heading towards mid, heading over towards the Roche pit, but Team Spirit is here ready. Again, FNG just putting himself inside the pit and trying to position himself right to counter this play from VGJ.Thunder.
Sylar really wants this tier 1. He might be able to get it now. Fade rolling in. They're going to find themselves the Shaman. Can they actually get this kill? Yes, very easily so. And with the position they are in, I don't think that Team Spirit is looking to take this fight, so they will get a tier 1 to boot. All right, that is a shot in the arm. A little bit of something for VGJ.Thunder.
Yeah, they grab the tier 1, but continuing to push right now is Team Spirit, so they may even concede the positioning onto that Roshan pit, but they're going to go for a tier 3 and try and force back the side of VGJ.Thunder, and already TPing back will be Sylar, but Sylar in the face of ILTW as well as Illidan. And Yang finally coming over. This is possibly a bad fight, especially without their gyrocopter at the moment.
Yeah, gyrocopter has his TP, but in his backpack, so he is very confident in his team making the defend, and he is correct.
VGJ.Thunder, they do retreat 4 Euros right now with Kama continuing to farm up. He's going for that 4-step, trying to finish off what seems to be a hurricane fight for himself. But very far ahead is the side of Team Spirit. Top of the net worth is Illidan. He's picked up that Ags with the SNY, and his BKB, however, is down to 7 seconds. Do you think that's going to affect him going into these later fights?
Not at the moment, but as this game drags on, that will be an issue. I mean, as this game drags on, then this is a huge issue for Team Spirit, right? That means somehow, some way, Thunder has been defending that top racks for a while. But here comes one of the most important fight in the game. And will Thunder make that challenge?
They push out over mid, they do smoke up, they're heading towards the Roshan pit, but I don't know if it's going to be a time. Getting really low is Roshan with just 1,000 health remaining. Sylar reading the front, there's going to be the boulder smash, and it hits onto Roshan as well as 2 of these heroes. Just spot that Roshan's really low, but they will take him out. Illidan grabs the Aegis, and now the chase is on from Team Spirit. VGJ.Thunder really need to make their way back to the base. The 4-step forward from FNG as well as the Glimmer King coming through. They're still continuing to try and chase. They won't find anything just yet, as VGJ.Thunder are able to hit that eject button and get back to their base safely.
So that is Aegis and Cheese. Cheese on Tiny. He is already super hard to kill, given how tanky he is. Now it just feels nigh impossible. And of course the Razor with the Aegis allowing him to sit in the front line. He also has picked up the Aghanim's. And with the Ags, Eye of the Storm, they have a very slow and safe way to siege. They've been relying on things like Bruise Split as well as the Shaman wards. But the Illidan siege is going to be the ultimate endgame here for Team Spirit.
So Team Spirit ready to posture up onto this tier 3. VGJ.Thunder looking to make their last holds. Who makes the first move, and who's going to be the initiator on this one? The Lucid Beam comes out on ILTW, but the rest of VGJ.Thunder, look how far back they're sitting right now.
Yeah, they need to have Sylar sit in the front, and of course Repel ready to go. I really like the big balls play here by VGJ. Nobody buying a BKB and just trusting on Yang to have that repel being all they need. And they might be correct in that assumption. Like, they just need damage. They need damage to kill heroes. They need damage to kill the Brewlings. And damage-wise, Sylar's got a lot. Look at what he's got queued up. He's going straight into a nullifier.
Take a look over top. Illidan just continuing to posture up, and it's VGJ.Thunder sitting back, not able to farm at all. They're too scared to go down the steps. They're stuck in their base while Team Spirit continue to push these creep waves, continue to get more farm, work on those next couple of items. They're ready to take a fight at their pace, and VGJ.Thunder, unfortunately, they have to play the game at the side of Team Spirit's base.
VGJ, their current goal is to just wait out the Aegis and Cheese, or rather just the Aegis. There's no way they win the fight against Aegis Cheese. But without Aegis, they stand a better chance. Of course, though, they are, bleeding more and more as we go on.
Finally, they do smoke up on the side of Team Spirit. Looking to maybe make that last fight. Sylar sitting a little bit too far forward. There's 4-step forward. They actually get him into the static link. But for right now, Illidan's stunned up. They've got the BKB coming through as well as the blink with the Thunderclap. Down goes AO, down goes Sylar. They've got the courier as well. They continue to chase onto Kama as well as Fade. The buybacks come through from this Luna, but Yang in a lot of trouble with the repel on him as well as Guardian Angel. The toss comes on forward. Brewmaster just making so much space for the side of Team Spirit to really start to clean up these heroes. Fade's got the magnetized out on these heroes on the side of Team Spirit. They're just too tanky right now. The Hex comes out as well as the Shackles. They'll take on the Luna one more time. He already bought back, so he's dead for 90 seconds. GG will be called by VGJ.Thunder, and taking game 1 will be the side of Team Spirit.
Wow, that was a huge play by DK Phobos. I'm not sure if you guys caught it, but the Bruise Split took Yang in the air, so there was no Omni Knight to cast Guardian Angel, to cast Repel or Purification. So you're just looking at a couple of heroes that without BKB getting hexed up and killed very rapidly. DK Phobos, I know the panels has been showing a lot of love for him. to me, he's the MVP for this game, just off of amazing Brewmaster plays.
Yeah, only 1 kill, but you take a look, most assists on his team, 1-13. I talked about it a little bit earlier that DK Phobos was really going to make this game for the side of Team Spirit, and he happened, I think we can agree, is the MVP there for him. But
I think the concern right now is that the draft, again, is a little bit weak, but I'm sure our panel will talk about how weak it is. Let's actually pass it back to Danny and the rest of the analysts.
Okay, thanks guys. We're back onto the panel, and we've got a lot of things to talk about aside from a couple of issues that we had during the match. So, Lacoste, you may speak, Lacoste.
Turn your microphone on, Lacoste. Yeah,
All right.
that
Well
would help.
done. There, we finally have everything sorted. All right, so we've got a lot of things to talk about. So we had a very interesting draft coming out from VGJ. They did have a particular mindset coming into this. Couldn't get the Death Prophet. They supplemented it with the Gyrocopter instead. But it didn't end up working. What actually happened?
Well, Gyro is really not a mid hero because he doesn't shine there, can't really farm both camps. They stacked the camp near to their mid 1 tower, which got contested by Razor and who else?
It was the whole
Tombstone.
team,
Well,
right?
pretty much, yeah.
They turned up, they saw the stack,
Yeah.
they killed the Omni Knight, and then they were like, hey, there's this big fat stack here, let's just
so they
clear
should
the whole thing.
stack the other side, which is more safe for them. Gyro kind of got shut down, and with the build
The whole
that he...
team kind of got shut down,
Well, but-
right?
Yeah.
Seems like the drums is the new poor man's Mask of Madness. Also, Luna and Gyro, it's pretty much the same hero. They do same things, so...
Yeah, I feel like the Gyrocopter was just a waste of the last pick for VGJ.Thunder, right? They had an opportunity. They really wanted that Death Prophet, I think, right? The silence would have helped so much against the Brewmaster, controlling him in fights. It would have done probably even more damage than the Gyrocopter did. And the Gyro just got harassed out of lane. We've seen this with the Tiny mid so often against so many heroes that you just get... once Tiny maxes that toss, you get Soul Ring and he just starts spamming creeps at you. There isn't really a whole lot that you can do. And at that point, nobody was really being enabled by the repel. You know, the Luna and the Gyro were both actually struggling to do anything in fights. And DK Phobos, whoever wasn't repelled, was just getting sent up in the air nonstop, right? He was doing so well with the Storm Panda in the fights.
Well, pretty much it was always Omni. So he,
Yeah.
So
Like
he
even this fight
couldn't do
here,
anything.
you see Omni Knight is just up. He's up in the sky for the entire fight. He can't get the GA off. He finally pops it at the end, but it's only for himself, and then it immediately...
Also, the lineup that they have opens up a really good Roche for them. They took 2 with Tombstone, Rasta Wards. Also, the positioning from FNG. I don't know if you saw it. He's always standing into the trees trying to break a smoke because that's the only way they can come from. And it's really hard to fight into the Roche pit because of the Tombstone, Rasta Wards, Panda split. One more thing, DK Phobos in 3 games, 2 from yesterday and this one, he died 2 times combined.
But the thing is, he is so difficult to kill. With
Yeah.
VGJ, their lineup wasn't prepared to kill off the Brewmaster. He had an amazing laning phase because he was babysat by Biver on the Undying. So they didn't kill the Brewmaster. They did kill the Undying once, but aside from that, DK Phobos, he got his farm.
Yeah, that's
and also, let's not forget, both supports on the side of VGJ had to sit in that lane, otherwise the Luna was possibly going to get killed by that dual lane.
Well, that's the matchup that they wanted. They wanted to secure DK Phobos lane, which they did. Undying roamed around, even on mid a couple of times. Tiny didn't need any help. At one point, before 10-minute mark, Tiny almost had 2,000 HP, which is pretty impossible to kill. They managed to take him down, but it's a lot of time.
It took 2 cores,
yeah.
right? It took an Eclipse, it took a call down, and they had both of the 2 supports there.
Also, the problem was that they did not have anything to deal with that Panda, so it was a pretty free Panda game. They had 1 silence and a cask, plus a boulder. Also, Earth Spirit missed a lot of his skills.
In fairness, there are a lot of really fast, like, a lot of the missed rolls were on Illidan, who's got a pretty much max move speed build. It is tough, but you're right. They were relying on him. He was the only real source of lockdown. And that's what happens when you're a team that prioritizes Omni Knight as well, right? You're knowingly saying, okay, look, our offlaner is not going to be providing initiation or control. And so all of that weight then shifts onto the position 4 player to have to do all of the initiating, provide a lot of lockdown. And then a hero like Earth Spirit, if you miss a couple of spells, that can be really costly.
Yeah, but if they had a different mid, since they had the last pick, they could have gone for Puck, let's say, that's a lot of control and initiation, or that Storm Spirit that I mentioned. It could have been a different game with a different mid hero.
Okay, so MVP is ready. I'm pretty sure it's everyone that we suspected. DK Phobos yet again. I believe in almost all of it, in all of his games, has actually been MVP, and well deserved. Brewmaster, Venomancer. I think at this point, Brewmaster
again.
I think we need to see what's he going to play next game. If he's going to get the Venomancer again, or if he maybe plays something else. But honestly, if he just keeps getting the Brewmasters, what are you going to be able to do against him? What is actually a counter to Brewmaster? How do you play against a Brewmaster?
You just need silence.
Silence.
Yeah.
Death Prophet.
Silence is important.
Not necessarily that.
You can kind of shut him down in lane as well. He doesn't really jungle that well or catch up that way. And the other thing about Brewmaster is he's pretty much only a team fight hero, right? So if you fall behind in the early game, and the enemy team is better than you, they're ahead of you in team fights, then Brewmaster does kind of fall off.
He catches up.
A little bit.
I mean, even if you're destroyed in lane, once you hit level 6, you can make a rotation pretty much anywhere. Yeah. He farms jungle also quick with the mischance crit, plus Quelling Blade, Soul Ring. He has enough regen to sustain in the forest.
Lucas, you make it sound as if, like, what does Brewmaster not do?
Just ban him, I guess. I want to see them force DK Phobos to play something else, right?
They had a Clockwork. I'm not sure if Clockwork was still... Well, he was still in the pool, so that's one of the heroes that counters Brewmaster completely, because you can't use Split once you're in Cogs.
So aside from DK Phobos, what does VGJ.Thunder need to consider going into the second match of this series? Aside from DK Phobos, that's off the table.
I feel like maybe we'll see one of the first 2 cores that Spirit picked up in the first phase getting banned out in the next round. So maybe the Razor or the Tiny will be taken away from them, because it's a little bit scary, I think, if you're VGJ.Thunder to just see Team Spirit so confidently picking cores in the first phase. I think part of that is because they wanted the Razor against the Omni Knight, right? That's probably, that's their concept. That's a concept that a lot of teams have, where they say, okay, look, you just pick Omni, we're going to immediately counterpick it with the Razor.
Yeah, what was the first pick for Team Spirit? Was it Tiny?
Tiny.
They picked, so VGJ.Thunder picked Omni Knight as the first overall pick, I think, and then they immediately went Razor Tiny afterwards. So.
Yeah.
And then VGJ.Thunder just followed it up with their Earth Spirit. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see one of those 2 banned out. I mean, ILTW didn't have a super flashy game, but that's just because he didn't have to, right? Team Spirit won all the lanes. They got some pickoffs.
He didn't go for flashy items. Went for super defensive. I mean, it's also offensive build with the drums. He was more than 2k HP once he finished those drums. He had to go Shadow Blade just to cut the back lines and get a kill. Need 1 mobility item.
Yep. No, I think Team Spirit played really well. So VGJ.Thunder, I don't know how they're going to adapt, actually. They do have other heroes up their sleeve. They could pick the Death Prophet earlier if they really want it. They have a really good Medusa, which they've even first phased before, or they've been first phasing in China. I mean, Sylar and Medusa, that's a combo that goes back all the way into Dota's history, so maybe we'll see that come out. But yeah, they're on the brink now, which is a little bit scary.
I'm still thinking about the picks from the previous game. If they wanted to go for a DP, I don't know why they picked Witch Doctor as 4th pick. Probably as a counter to Tiny, but if they wanted the DP, they should have gone for it instead.
All right, so I think for now we're going to go for a quick commercial break, and once we're back, we'll find out if VGJ.Thunder can take the next game versus Team Spirit. We'll find out in a minute.